As I heal, I really look back on the years in my life when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, when I was in college, right? And what I think about is just how worried I was about things that I needed to do. And now looking at it, it's kind of like humorous because it's like I realize that as I heal, I would argue the most important thing that I could be doing, which is what I am doing, is healing, right? Um, this is not to kind of like suggest that anything else is unimportant or irrelevant, but what I would argue is this. Many people out there that are unaware of their trauma and are not doing the work to actively heal are living lives that are not really full, right? If you're unaware of your trauma and you're not actively doing the work, you don't really see yourself fully. If you don't see yourself fully, you really can't know who you are exactly. If you don't know who you are, you're not making the best decisions for yourself, right? So it's interesting because as I am here on this journey of healing, I look back at the earlier years of my life when I was in middle school. There was so much anxiety, so much depression over different things, and I'm not going to invalidate anything at all. I'm going to validate all of it, actually. It's all real. It all happened. Um, when I was in high school, I was worried about things that I'm no longer worried about. And it's interesting because now I'm just not worried anymore. And that's the other thing that I want to explore because when you look at worry, I feel like we are like default taught to worry, right? I feel like we are default taught to worry, and it's like, but why and for what? I didn't want to learn that. I didn't want to learn how to worry. I didn't want to learn how to just have anxiety over, full honesty, what I would argue to be completely irrelevant and dumb shit. This is probably one of the most important points I will ever be at in my life. Probably one of the most important and emphasized eras of my life that I will ever be in. And here's why. This is what I would argue. You will never. I mean, I was arguing this before, but you will never live a more self-aware life than the life of knowing what messed you up, what traumatized you, what work you're doing to heal yourself. It's so interesting because I look back. I look back at all the times that I worried and what it is that I worried about, right? And part of me honestly just wants to go like, ugh, right? And there's just so much underdeveloped bullshit back then, right? It goes back again to the things that we were taught to worry about. We were taught to worry about things that we really didn't need to worry about. What fucking college you're going to. Most of the people that I went to high school with, I mean, like, I look at it and it's like, people aren't self-aware enough at that point. They're not. Then they probably got out of college and they were like, I just spent 4 to 8 years on a fucking degree that I didn't even want. All because my fucking parents rushed me. And I thought it was the right thing to do. Also, like the people that got married too early. Because they thought that they met the person that they were supposed to be with for the rest of their fucking life. And then they found out, oh, wait a second, no, I was just repeating a pattern. It's just a trauma response. Yeah, no, not until you're about late 20s, early 30s is when you start to actually explore the things that messed you up, your trauma. It's very interesting. So, like, I would just argue that the most important thing that a human being could do is gain self-awareness in regards to what it is that messed them up, their trauma, and actually do the work. This is, in my honest opinion, this is more important than school. It is. Why? Simple. You don't really know yourself until you've actually discovered what it is that messed you up, what it is that traumatized you. And when you actually start doing the work, that's when you start to see things differently. That's when you start to think about things differently. That's when you start to feel about things differently. That's when you start to just be different as a person. And it doesn't really happen until you start to explore your trauma. Right? So the more I actually sit with my trauma, the more I'm just like, oh, this is it. Everything prior to this, I mean, it led up to this, of course, but everything prior to this, no, that wasn't it. Right? And we are rushed into and through everything. The person that we're going to marry, the school we're going to go to. No, take your fucking time. And the people that are rushing you, they're probably rushing you because they're fucking insecure as shit. And they want you to be their fucking trophy of, look what my child did. No, it's a fucking trophy. And your child's probably miserable and depressed as fuck. Right? And if your child, is pretending, you're fucked. It's just like, it's absurd. It's absurd. Yes, the most important thing, based on my experiences of healing, is to fucking get aware of yourself. Know what it is that traumatized you. And do the fucking work. In my honest opinion, that's the most important thing anybody could be doing. Because until you do that, you're not going to fucking know yourself. I'm going to put some serious emphasis on that. You're not going to fucking know yourself. I worried about so many things growing up that I realized, by the way, I didn't even need to worry about. Yeah, let me just talk about this for a second. If I was raised with boundaries, which I was not, if I was raised with boundaries, I would have learned that 99.99% of the stupid fucking bullshit that I focused on when I was younger had nothing to fucking do with me. I didn't need to worry about any of it. Right? So if I had known that back then, I wouldn't have fucking worried about any of that irrelevant shit in my life back then. Therefore, I would have actually had more self-awareness in regards to what it is that I actually needed to do for myself, which I had not. I spent a bunch of fucking years exerting a fuck ton of energy into a bunch of things that had absolutely zero fucking relevance in my life. Right? So, getting the foundational fucking understanding for what it is that's actually your fucking responsibility in life is a huge fucking thing. People that don't have boundaries, they're going to mistake and confuse other people's shit for theirs. Right? Oh, it's my responsibility to figure out whatever the fuck's going on between these people. No, it's fucking not. No, it's not. It's not. I feel bad for anybody who wasn't raised with boundaries because it's very likely that they're going to exert a fuck ton of energy into things that they never need to. And they're going to confuse everything else as their shit. And it's not. It's mind-blowing. So, yeah, you want to fucking level up in life? Before you consider a fucking degree, before you consider marrying anybody, know your fucking self. Take the time to actually become self-aware. Sit in a professional setting, with a therapist, a good one, by the way. I would argue that a majority of therapists, I'm not going to say good or bad. No, it's not a matter of good or bad. It's a matter of level of expertise, right? You need to be talking to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, right? Somebody who sits with you, somebody who's centered with you. Just being self-aware is the most important thing that you can do in this life. Because once you're self-aware, then you know why it is that you're going after whatever degree you're going after. Then you know exactly why it is that you're marrying whoever it is that you decide to marry, if you decide to marry someone, or if you decide to go after a degree, right? You really can't know any of that stuff unless you're self-aware. And once you're self-aware, then you'll know, oh, because this person sees me. Not just because I'm repeating a pattern because it's familiar and comfortable. No. You got to get self-aware. That's what it's about. It's about getting self-aware. And again, I will say it, in my honest opinion, based on my experiences in life, everything that you worried about when you were younger was probably irrelevant. The best thing that you can do for yourself right now is to get very self-aware, understand what it is that traumatized you, and do the work to actively heal. Because once you do that, life will never be the same again. And, by the way, for the better.